Guys, how you doing out there? Oh my god, guys. I really peaked too early last week, didn't I? Sorry about it, guys. Sorry about it. I have a tendency to do that, I'm afraid. Yeah. Deer in the Indian, like, whatever. And actually, I wanted to come on here to, well, thing is, it's been a few days, hasn't it, guys? And the thing is, it's so interesting. This morning, I was feeling this, and then a friend kind of contacted me and said he was feeling the same. It was so interesting. So I don't know whether I was just picking up on his vibe, but I suddenly, this morning, guys, suddenly had this feeling of just, ugh. They've won. They've won. I'm done. I'm just so done. I really, really am, guys. I really, really am. And, well, that was how I was feeling this morning. But we'll see. We'll see, won't we? And I've got to be honest with you guys. I think I've lost people's time and attention, okay? So come the new year, I've decided I'm going to migrate. I'll stay over here, okay? And I am going to keep posting to YT as, even and as long as they are or aren't taking down my videos, okay? Because they did that, right, on one of the last ones, okay? So, talking about the big B, right? They don't like that, do they? Anyway, and so, yeah, so I've decided, guys, because I'm quite getting into a few of the chat, like, peeps over there, right? And, I've noticed a few people kind of sometimes sort of advertise their channels in somebody else's chat, right? So I've decided I'm going to migrate as well over to Rumble. Okay, it is a little bit more like YT, it just is, and I've sort of noticed there's something I don't like about the setup, but I'm kind of sort of getting into it now, right? And I like the people over there. They probably won't engage with me, but they do engage, which is great, and I love it. And they don't, they're not just, kind of, well, some of them can be really rude, actually. But anyway, actually, I wanted to come on here today to kind of give you a little bit. Oh, because what actually ended up happening to me, guys, when we had that snow last week was that I suddenly had carb cravings, guys. I really, really did. Okay. And so I ended up that evening making myself a blackberry and apple crumble. Okay. And what I do, I thought I'd give you a few of my kind of hacks, because, you aren't expected, even, well, if you're doing anything, even kind of going vegan, really, but obviously I don't recommend that anymore. And actually, I saw Dr. Berg, I've started watching a few of Dr. Berg's videos again, and I saw him talking about, actually, there's nothing worse for a bad gut, okay, guys, than what it is they prescribe to you, which is roughage, okay, which is fiber, okay. It actually isn't very good for you. This is what we're learning, guys. This is what we're learning. And this roughage, it is exactly like that. It is really rough on the gut. It really, really is. And it creates tiny little rips and tears, okay, because it is mostly genetically modified, okay. I'm not sure that I've actually said this anytime recently, right, which is to say that most, oh God, what was it? What was I going to say now? I've forgotten now. Oh yeah, which is that most vegetables, okay, guys, you would never find in nature. Okay, you really, really wouldn't. You know, cauliflower, broccoli, carrots. I think I have said it recently, actually, because I remember talking about the tubers. You know, potatoes. Honestly, you just don't find them. They aren't natural. They've been modified. Okay, they really, really have, guys. They really, really have. And, you know, so for that reason, our ancestors just wouldn't have eaten them. You know, we may have eaten greens, and we certainly would have gathered them because they are our medicines. But it's like, as I've said, it's like if you just eat your medicine, you get to the point where it doesn't actually work as a medicine for you anymore. Okay. But what I have come to realize is that people who have lived just kind of eating a normal diet, that means meat, potatoes, 2 veg, and a pudding, okay, with, you know, a shit ton load of, probably in England, I mean, I was shocked to see it, but people would have that meal then with bread and butter as well, kind of thing. And a lot of, you know, restaurants, obviously, they'll bring out bread. I mean, actually, in American restaurants in particular, but also things like Greek and Turkish and, you know, Italian and things like that, they will bring out bread. I can never quite understand why, because it can just fill you up. I mean, these days, if I was just to eat the bread, I would just be done. And I just wouldn't actually be able to eat anything else, probably. But anyway. So my point being, okay, guys, is that if you really are a carnivore, okay, then it's going to be difficult for you to give them up, okay? And, you know, really, I mean, that does include fruit, okay? I know it might sound strange, but of course, always fruit is going to be better than a choice like something like Mars bars, okay? But, you know, back in the day when it actually used to be fashionable for women to be of a certain size, kind of thing, because it proved that she was, you know, wealthy and healthy. Well, what they thought was healthy, wealthy, and wise, okay, they would be larger women, okay? And the way that those women became larger, right, was from eating tropical fruits, okay? Fruits that were, you know, and they were big. That's why we have sort of satsumas and clematites and things like that for Christmas. And I actually do buy them around Christmas time, you know, sort of in the last 10 years when I've been doing keto. I don't eat them as you know, as a staple, okay, but I will buy them around Christmas time because I just love the, you know, so, I mean, it's such a strange thing, really, that in this country, the UK, that you would peel an orange or peel a satsuma and it smells like Christmas. You know, it really does, because it would have been a real treat, you know, sort of back in the day. And so, you know, so I kind of do buy them, you know, and I used to buy, you know, sort of those easy peelers and things like that for my son, of course. And obviously I used to give him loads of fruit and salad plates and, you know, all the rest of it, right? And of course I thought that was the way. And, you know, he hasn't gone carnivore, you know, he hasn't. He eats veg, he eats beans, you know, he eats bread, okay? And he can get away with it. I mean, personally, I would like to see these young kids totally give up alcohol, tobacco, obviously drugs and any medication that they might be on, as well as the bread, the sugar, the fruit, you know, and the fiber, okay, and really rock their lives. And I mean, like, in double quick time, right? If they just went into life like that, they would just be so magnetic and so free in their bodies and so pure. And if we could just, you know, really kind of encourage them to stay in that postural alignment, you know. But I did actually try and do meditation with my son, and it just wasn't easy. It just wasn't easy with him as a 5-year-old. I mean, I think probably what needs to happen is you actually need to start by meditating with them in your lap as a baby, okay? You know, let them fall asleep in your lap kind of thing. And then as they get older, you know, do the meditation with them sitting in your lap kind of thing. And then as they get a little bit older, they can then sit opposite you, and it will be something that is, you know, already part of their kind of daily habits, if you like, and their daily routine, right? But so, you know, I found myself in that, you know, sort of freezing cold and still having to go out into it and kind of all the rest of it. I did find myself having these carb cravings. Okay, now I do then, you know, gather seasonal fruit, okay, and people will often, you know, be palming off apples and sometimes pears, but pears are not quite as you know, it's not, I don't know whether it's as easy of a fruit to grow, but certainly people have more apple orchards than pears. Okay, they might put 1 or 2 pear trees in their orchard, but generally they're apples. And so, you know, I've always got plenty of apples. And, you know, in the last couple of years, I've been making things like apple cider vinegar myself, which, by the way, guys, is a great way to, you know, to sort of begin the process of healing the gut and encouraging kind of more kind of stomach acid and things like that. Because one of the main sort of situations with veganism is that the stomach acid becomes too alkaline. And that was really my problem, actually. It just became too alkaline, okay? Well, that, and I think there was a lot of damage then done from the sugars of being a sugar addict, you know, growing up on a standard American diet, okay, the SAD diet. And so there was fat covering over that, okay, and then as I became, you know, fat burning machine, it stripped away then all of the fat in the gut. And I mean, I was just raging redness kind of thing. And so, hang on, I've got, my eyes gone a bit strange today, I apologise. And so I will then, you know, sort of gather apples, and I'll, and I've got from last year because I just didn't end up using them. And I've had some from this year, and I've used the ones from this year, but I've still got in my freezer some apple puree that I made because, you know, didn't want the apples just to go off. I didn't want to have to throw them away. I mean, I have actually thrown away loads of apples this year, so and I don't like doing that. I wish I'd made more apple cider vinegar, but I didn't. And I still had these apples, you know, which will make a couple of crumbles through the winter. And then I pick loads of blackberries and I freeze those as well so that I can have a crumble through the winter. Now, you know how I feel about oats, don't you guys? Okay, I find them to be one of the most dehydrating foods, okay, and they really affect the kidneys. And that's why when you eat them, you get massive bags under your eyes, okay? It's the bags under your eyes, okay, that is going to tell you how your kidneys are, right? And dark circles as well, okay? And so, you know, people, I used to think it was coffee, right? People will often think that it's cannabis, I think. What was it that I was recommending to someone to use? Cacao. I think it was cacao as well. And there was, so that they could get rid of their dark circles kind of thing, and give up the oats, okay? But they just won't give up the oats. They just can't give up the oats. They're so addictive, guys. They really, really are. And if you think about a Lord of a Twist, please, sir, can I have some more? Because you're just not satiated after them. You just aren't. You know, if you were to have the same amount of meat, okay, in a bowl, you wouldn't feel hungry. You wouldn't feel full, same as if you just have a small bowl of oats kind of thing, but you won't feel hungry, and you will actually feel full power. Okay, you'll be able to walk up those hills without getting out of breath, that kind of thing, even not being in elevation, right? Which is a particular state, and that means you're walking uphill. And when we walk uphill, we want to go forward. We go forward, and then our energy is placing the strain on our heart, okay, because we're pushing, and the gravity, if there is such a thing, people are coming to, but I don't know, okay, I don't know, but there is a force, okay, there are two invisible forces that we can find ourselves suspended within, okay, so there's a difference between being, and this is what awakening medicine is all about, okay, it's about becoming weightless, okay, in the body, so that you become stressless in the body and in the mind, okay, and in the heart, the emotions, and on a spiritual level as well, right? So so when we walk forward up a hill, we're like, we get fully out of breath because we're putting a lot of strain on our heart. The pressure is going through the head and onto the heart. If we stay in our center and walk uphill, okay, we actually need to walk for the movement to actually be to pull ourselves back. Okay, we pull ourselves back so we can stay in that alignment, and then the heart can remain open, okay, and free, and we don't put pressure on it, and then our vertebrae as well can stay open, and we can remain in alignment, okay, and that's when we're in elevation, okay. And I was just kind of learning this for myself when a colleague, sort of a fellow colleague and friend who I used to do swaps with, kind of thing, mentioned, who is heavily into the Chinese kind of medicine model, mentioned that when training in China once, he was with a master who just walked up hundreds of steps, as they do towards these Chinese temples, and was speaking the whole way and was completely in alignment, obviously, because that's what it takes to be a master, guys. That is what it takes, right? You aren't going to be a master until your posture is everything, and it's the main thing that you have awareness of throughout the day. I'm not even there yet, but I'm getting there, okay? It's a slow process. It's a slow burn, right? And, and even the Autistic Mystic talked about it the other day on his channel. I mean, all these people, tarot readers, and, astrology readers and things like that, they all have their own courses. Okay, that's basically what they're advertising. And I've come to learn that I don't know. I mean, I don't really think you earn a lot of money on YouTube. I don't really know, because I've never earned any. But I think unless you have millions of subscribers, okay, I don't know how it works, honestly. Somebody else can tell you about that. But they also then, what they're doing really is they're advertising their courses, which then you pay for. And hopefully, if you're getting hundreds and thousands of subscribers and tens of thousands of views on every video, then, hopefully some of those people are going to be buying, your courses, kind of thing. And then there's me. Okay. And on Facebook, on YT, well, and Facebook, but on YT, I mean, literally none of my videos on there have gotten more than, I don't think, 50 views, kind of thing. So sorry guys, I'm more or less just coming from a walk, and it's raining and very sort of sweaty out there, so I'm kind of feeling the effects of that. I apologize. Right, guys, so I'll make a crumble, and I made a crumble, and then I had it, I did cross-contaminate, really, because I can do that, guys, now with a very well-healed gut, okay, from time to time. I wouldn't do it every day, and I certainly don't do it for every meal, kind of thing. But I'll have a crumble then with some yogurt and some cream. And obviously these days I use cows, because I don't like goats or sheep's yogurt and cream and things like that. But I used to use soy. And you can also buy these days oats. But like I've just told you, I don't do oats, right? And I recommend that if you're any age at all, okay, over 40, that you also don't do oats, okay, because they're going to be putting a major strain on your kidneys and and your gut as well, okay, in the form of leaky gut, and as well on the liver, okay, so just every organ really, okay, and the heart, okay, ultimately, and then that means, yep, the noggin, right? So I don't use oats to make a crumble. Okay, I'll make a crumble because it's a lot easier than making a pie. If I was to make a pie, which I probably wouldn't do now, but I have made in the past, I would use something like white spelt flour. Okay, and I use white spelt flour when I make our Christmas tradition Mama's homemade cinnamon rolls, okay, which, yeah, I just can't do Christmas without them now, okay, because I've grown up on that. I was suggesting, should we change our tradition and just have a full English? Okay, but we're going to do that for Boxing Day. That's going to be a Boxing Day brunch now. But yeah, so, and I've got that recipe. I think it's over on IG actually, but it's also in the app. Okay, guys. So for the full recipe, okay, it's just the video on Instagram. And they're amazing. They're gorgeous and they're just beautiful. And they are actually, you can make them sugar free. Well, and when I say sugar free, guys, when I say sans sucre, right, I am actually meaning refined breads, muffins, and sugar, obviously. You know, so whether it's brown or white, I mean refined sugar, okay? But you can substitute for naturally occurring sugars, okay? They're not amazing, you know. Obviously, ideally, we'd like to live without them, and I wish I could be full carnivore, but I can't. I can't live in this culture and not eat raw chocolate, okay? Because it is just such a healing food, and it's just a major antioxidant, okay? And so I will eat raw cacao, and sometimes I eat a lot if I have been fumed, which, by the way, I had another person thingy me with the vax, okay, and I did actually get a spot here, and I have felt just the edge of cramping. Now, I still haven't had the demonic cramp, right? So I actually believe that this person may have had a double, okay, and that it was my body's way of just saying, we've had too much vax shed now, okay, just from the regular flu vax, because the regular flu vax will give me a little bit of cramping, okay, but I will make a crumble using buckwheat flakes, okay? Buckwheat flakes are a great substitute for oats, okay? And then what I'll add to that, just to make it a little bit more interesting, is things like either flaked almonds and raisins, or some kind of a gluten-free kind of sort of either granola or muesli. I might add to it. I'm not going to have it just as that. And often those things have sugar added, right, guys? So it isn't good enough, guys, to just be vegan, okay? Because most vegan foods are highly, highly processed these days, and they're just junk foods, okay? They're just convenience foods, okay? They're just turning, and you'll notice, won't you? Things like Magnum and Cadbury's and, you know, all these different companies are making vegan foods now, okay? And yeah, they aren't health foods. They aren't healthy. They aren't good for you, okay? They really, really are not. So I will add things, or I might add, you know, what do you call that? Walnuts, dates, you know, cut up dates kind of thing. I'll put anything, you know, just to make, coconut. I stopped putting coconut actually because one friend who I used to invite over for crumble, who loved crumble, hated coconut, right? So I just kind of got out the habit of adding coconut, but I do enjoy adding a bit of coconut. And yeah, so I had that, and that did satiate then that kind of carb craving that I was having. But I then was still craving. I really, really was, like the next day. And so I kind of looked into carnivore breads, okay, and I just kind of looked on YT, and I found this flatbread. Okay, I'm going to make it, and I probably will put it on IG. Okay, but it's made with, and it's full carnivore, guys. I just can't believe it. And I've had some, and yes, these breads tend to taste a little bit like an omelette. Okay, but this one is a little bit different because it's a flatbread. So I realized, I mean, I will be carving out for Christmas breakfast. Okay, I will be having spelt flour rolls, okay, and I put coconut sugar, and then instead of, you're meant to use icing sugar with a little bit of milk to make an icing, okay, but I don't do that. I mean, we do have some icing sugar, so I let my son do that if he wants to, but I just then pour maple syrup. So maple syrup, agave syrup, coconut sugar, and coconut blossom syrup, okay, they are, and date syrup, gosh, rice syrup, molasses, okay, there are loads of, and they're usually as a syrup, okay, but obviously coconut sugar is a great one. Oh, but what I use now, okay, is erythritol, right? That is your keto kind of sweetener. And then there are things like stevia, xylitol, which are also good for the blood sugar levels. Okay, so those three are good for the blood sugar levels. The others are going to raise your blood sugar. Okay, that they aren't as good. Okay, and they will promote candida and things like that. Okay, and yeast and stuff. But I will be carving out for Christmas breakfast. But I will then, I think, for any kind of bird sandwiches, bird buns, right, then I'm going to be sticking that in a flatbread, right, and that's made with yogurt, eggs, and mozzarella, guys. I mean, I think you can probably use any cheese, so I am going to try with other cheeses, because you're supposed to use grated mozzarella, and I don't fancy grating one of those things, those big balls, but some people can get a hard mozzarella. That the person was American. But I was thinking I might, because grated cheese generally has, and this one does, potato starch or some kind of, sort of filler type thing that just keeps it from clumping. Okay, so I have used it, and I have been fine with the potato starch in it, kind of thing, because I am fine on that kind of thing. I've healed my gut, and so it isn't such a big deal. But I just stick with the carnivore because it just gives me full power, guys. It really, really does. I just love being in full power. I just feel wide awake, and as well, guys, yeah, I finally managed to find me a little kind of job kind of on the side. I've had to do that, guys. I don't really want to, but I've had to, and it is going to be kind of full on days. It's at a spa, so it's back to kind of my roots, really, but it'll be fine. And I get spa membership, guys, so that is worth its weight. And this spa has got 4 hydro pools, 3 saunas, one of which is an infrared sauna, which I love an infrared sauna, because you go in when it's cool, and you just put the time, and you put the temperature that you want it to go up to in that time frame, and then you don't even feel yourself getting hot, okay? And it's not like just burning and getting claustrophobic. And they also have 2 steam rooms, and a beautiful relaxation center. So for me, I'm a real sauna snob, I have to say, because I need the relaxation aspect afterwards. So it isn't enough for me to just go into a sauna outside sauna and just, you know, it just isn't enough. I have to be able to lie down and, you know, be able to relax and totally drop. Otherwise, I mean, I can do it and I will do it just as a one-off every now and then, but it's not a protocol for me. Okay, I need to be able to go in the sauna, have a cold shower or a plunge, and, you know, and then relax in a relaxation room and on a lounger for as long as I possibly can drop.